Hello, boys and girls. I'm Joy Renhel, Director of Children's Ministries at Centerville United Methodist Church. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us today for our Bible story. Today's Bible story is about a disciple named Thomas, and it comes from the book of John, verses 24 through 31. Now, we're going to start our story in the room where the disciples were gathered, and they were all talking about Jesus being alive and how he had appeared to them earlier in this very room. But Thomas, who was one of the 12, had not been present at that time. And so when the others told him, "We have seen the Lord," Thomas said, "Well, unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and I can put my fingers in the places where the nails were, and I can take my hand and touch his side, then I will not believe it's true." So about a week later, about 8 days or so, they were all gathered in the house again. And although the doors were all locked, suddenly Jesus came and he appeared among them. He was standing right there and he said, "Peace be with you." And then he turns to Thomas and he said, put your finger here. See my hands, and reach out and touch my side. Thomas, don't doubt, believe. Well, Thomas immediately, he didn't even need to touch Jesus. He said, "Oh, my Lord and my God." And Jesus continued and he said to him, "Thomas, because you have seen me, you have believed. But blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe." Now, John goes on to tell us in his book that Jesus performed many signs in the presence of his disciples, and many were not recorded in the book of John. But John does record this story and others so that we may believe in Jesus as the Messiah and the Son of God, and by believing have life in his name. Now this story, I really felt spoke to us so much at what we're going through today, because the disciples, they really had their world turned upside down following the crucifixion. They had been going with Jesus and traveling with him, breaking bread with him, watching him perform miracles, spending a lot of time in fellowship, learning from him. And then the excitement of going to Jerusalem for Passover, and then having the crucifixion. All of that changed so much and was so sudden to them that Jesus, the Messiah, was dead. And then he started appearing again, and they are trying to wrap their heads around the idea of him being alive, that he's risen. And so when I hear Thomas say those words, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and I touch his hands," I imagine him, and I hear in his voice him saying, "I want to be with you, Jesus. I want things to be the way that they were. I just want to spend time with you." And I think that really speaks to us today. So many things have been changed, and we really want to be with our friends and our family, and yet we have not been able to. So I can really understand how he was feeling at that time. Over the next few weeks, we will study more and learn more about what is unfolding in this story about Jesus. And we'll come to understand that everything that was put into motion with this Easter story really is a way that God has made it so that Jesus can be with us always. And so I hope that you will continue to learn more and join us as we start approaching Pentecost and the arrival of the Holy Spirit. I have several things in my Sunday school packet for you this week. My focus on putting that together was really adding kind of another little aspect of prayer. I wanted you to be able to spend some time with God, and that is the best way. And so I have a couple different prayer tools for you. For both younger children and our older children, I have a paper in there that talks about prayer walking. And prayer walking can be just as simple as when you're going out And you pass a house, you can pray, that the Lord will watch over the people that live there, even if you don't know who it is. If it is someone, a neighbor that you know, you can pray for them by name. If you happen to pass by a bicycle, you can pray for, whoever rides that bicycle, that they be safe. You pass by a mailbox, you can thank God for the mailmen and the postal workers and pray for them to be safe, and just like that. But I also have a paper in there that gives you some little things that you can do. It says things like if you pass a red flower, we have lots of flowers blooming around our yard, but if you pass a red flower, you could lift up our doctors and nurses and medical field, because think about the Red Cross. So I hope that you can maybe get a chance to try that prayer walking out. Older children, I also have a prayer tool in there for you called Praying in Color, and it's just a way that you can use doodling and just spending some quiet time with God while you draw, and that is a prayer tool that many people enjoy doing. And then for our younger children, I'd like to teach you something right now, just real quick. This is called a 5-finger prayer, and we talked about in our story today, hands. We know that the sign language for Jesus is just like this, where you touch your palms where the nails were. But we're going to use our hand to do a 5-finger prayer. And this one, you start with the thumb, and that's the one when you hold your thumb, you're going to pray for those that are nearest to your heart. So your family, your very best friends, people that you're really close to. And then for our pointer finger, we're going to think of people pointing us in the right direction. So we're going to pray for our teachers, and that would be our school teachers and our Sunday school teachers. And we're also going to pray for our doctors, our nurses, those in the medical field. So our teachers and people that instruct us how to take the best care of our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. And then our index finger, the tallest finger, we're going to use to pray for the leaders of our country. They could be our state leaders, our federal leaders, national leaders, our school leaders that are making tough decisions about when it's safe to go back to school and what that's going to look like, our church leaders, all the leaders that are busy and hard at work making we're going to pray for wise decisions and good decisions. And then for our ring finger, this is your weakest finger, we're going to pray for people that are maybe sick and not feeling very well, people that might be really struggling, maybe with loneliness. Maybe they live alone and they just at this time are really feeling that it's a tough time for them because they're not able to go out and to visit with others. So for that, we're going to pray for the sick and the struggling in our community. And then for our pinkies, we're going to pray for yourself. So God really wants you to pray for the things that are on your heart. And so it could be praises. Maybe you got a letter from your grandmother or grandfather and you're very excited about that. And so you can lift up a prayer of thanks. Maybe you're having a tough time with getting your schoolwork done the way that we're having to do it now. You can pray for that. Or just missing your friends a lot. So your pinky is for yourself. So just to recap, we've got the thumb is for our friends and our family, our closest friends and family, our teachers and the medical doctors and nurses and medical professionals that take care of us, leaders, the sick and the struggling, and then for yourself. Okay, boys and girls, I hope you have a wonderful week and know that we are praying for you. We miss you. We love you. Until next time, I'm going to send you a hug, kisses. See you next time.